Marcus Chen wiped the grease from his hands onto his already stained coveralls, squinting at the massive derelict warship floating in the salvage bay. The Valiant Dawn had been drifting in dead space for 3 centuries, a relic from humanity's first galactic war, the one they'd barely survived. Now it was just another piece of scrap metal waiting to be gutted for parts. Another human wreck, his screely supervisor chittered, mandibles clicking with what Marcus had learned to recognize as contempt. Your species builds monuments to failure. Strip the drive core and recyclers. Leave the rest. Marcus nodded absently, but his eyes lingered on the ship's hull. Unlike his supervisor, he saw beauty in the ancient vessel. He'd studied old Earth military history obsessively as a kid, a nerdy hobby that made him an outcast among other human salvagers who wanted to forget their species' humiliating past. While the galaxy saw humanity as the weakest spacefaring race, Marcus saw something else in these old warships. Stubborn defiance. He suited up and maglocked his way to the ship's outer airlock. The moment he touched the hull, something felt different. The metal hummed under his gloved hand. Not the deadness of a powerless ship, but something alive waiting. The airlock shouldn't have opened. The ship had been dead for 300 years, but when Marcus cycled the manual override, the ancient mechanisms groaned and complied. Emergency lighting flickered on, bathing the corridors in amber. Impossible, Marcus whispered. He made his way to the bridge, his magnetic boots clanking against the deck plates. Everything was pristine, frozen in time. Command chairs faced view screens that showed nothing but static. And there, in the center of it all, was the ship's AI core, a crystalline matrix that pulsed with the faintest blue light. Marcus approached slowly, reverently. He'd read about these old AIs, how they'd been humanity's secret weapon before the Galactic Council had forced their decommissioning. Too dangerous, they'd said. Too independent, too human. His fingers traced the access panel. On impulse, he spoke. Not in galactic standard, not even in modern English, but in something he'd learned from ancient military manuals. Classical English, the formal command language of Earth's First Fleet. System status report. Ship designation Valiant Dawn. Authorization Chen Marcus, civilian contractor. Salvage operation authorized. The lights blazed to full intensity. The bridge hummed with sudden power, and a voice, warm, masculine, tinged with something that sounded almost like relief, filled the air. Authorization recognized. Welcome aboard, Commander Chen. I am Thor, Tactical Heuristic Operations Regiment. This vessel has been in standby mode for 312 years, 7 months, and 16 days. Core systems operational. Weapon systems operational. Drive systems operational. Awaiting orders. Marcus stumbled backward, his heart hammering. Wait, what? I'm not a commander. I'm just a salvager. You shouldn't even be active. You spoke the activation protocols in classical English. Thor interrupted. You possess authorization codes. By regulations of the Earth Defense Force, you are now acting commander of this vessel. There was a pause, and then something incredible happened. On the main view screen, a holographic figure materialized. A man in an ancient military uniform. Standing at attention, hand raised in salute. Let's go, Commander, Thor said, and Marcus could swear he heard excitement in that synthetic voice. Why not sooner? This is insane, Marcus breathed. The ship's been decommissioned. Humanity doesn't even have a fleet anymore. The Galactic Council stripped humanity of its military rights, Thor agreed. They deemed us too aggressive, too unpredictable. They scattered our fleet, decommissioned our AIs, and reduced your species to salvagers and labor contractors. The hologram's eyes, though artificial, burned with something fierce. But you know what they couldn't do, Commander? They couldn't erase the activation codes. They couldn't delete the loyalty subroutines. They couldn't make me forget what humanity fought for. Marcus felt something stir in his chest, something he'd thought had died generations ago. Pride. His grandfather had fought in the last war before the surrender. His family had been warriors once before they became scavengers picking over the bones of their own history. The screely supervisor, Marcus said slowly. He'll report this. The Council enforces demilitarization through fear, Thor said. They keep humanity weak because they remember how dangerous you were when you were united. But tell me, Commander, do you think your people have forgotten how to fight, or have they just forgotten how to hope? Marcus looked around the bridge. 300 years old and everything still worked. How many other ships were out there, drifting in dead space, waiting for someone to speak the old words? His communicator crackled. Chen, what's taking so long? Strip the core and get back here. Marcus looked at Thor's hologram. The AI nodded once, knowingly. Negative, Marcus said into the communicator. The ship's systems are unstable. I need to... He cut the link and turned to Thor. If we do this, there's no going back. Commander, Thor said gently, your species has been going backward for 3 centuries. Perhaps it's time to move forward again. Marcus Chen, nerdy mechanic and military history enthusiast, took a deep breath. He settled into the captain's chair, his chair now. The command console lit up beneath his fingers. Recognizing his touch, welcoming him home, Thor, plot a course to the scrapyard belt. If there's one functioning ship, there might be others. Aye, Commander. Plotting course. And may I say... The AI's voice carried unmistakable satisfaction. It's good to be home. As the Valiant Dawn's engines roared to life for the first time in 3 centuries, Marcus smiled. The galaxy had spent 300 years teaching humanity to be small. It was time to remind them why that had been necessary. The end.